My goal for GlobeTrotting in 2024 is to hit 50,000 subscribers. It'd be greatly appreciated if you did hit that button. Cathay Pacific. They were formed on September 24th, 1946 in Hong Kong, and since the creation of the airline, it has been a pretty big cornerstone for our industry, but I'd argue none more so than focusing on the region of Hong Kong for those living around it and also in it. The company does call Hong Kong home, and notably they're part of the One World Alliance. Why is this notable? Well, not only were they one of the founding members, but the alliance has really allowed them to enhance their relationship with airlines right around the world, all the while massively increasing connectivity. However, its recent history has presented many unique challenges that, while to a certain extent other airlines have experienced, many argue that what's been felt at Cathay Pacific is very much on a different scale, so much so that people questioned whether Cathay Pacific would survive for the long term, and those question marks are still surrounding the company to this day. During the pandemic, the airline's heavy reliance on international routes, particularly in terms of connecting Asia with Europe and North America when factoring in restrictions, made it very difficult, and they had to make radical changes to survive. But have they emerged from this? You could argue to a certain extent, yes. One of the major things that we saw change and what made headlines was the grounding of their fleet right around the world. So, what planes are currently in service? What aircraft remain parked? And just what is next for the airline? Well, at the moment, Cathay Pacific operates a fleet of 160 in-service aircraft with 18 planes parked. Interestingly, however, this actually represents a massive overall recovery across recent years. During the pandemic, you may recall that the company was experiencing some of the worst lows for the airline industry wide. In response to the plummeting demand, the carrier was forced to ground many aircraft. So, with the recovery being more than evident, was there any damage done, and what are we left with? Well, if I begin with some of the smaller aircraft types, we actually have the newly delivered A321neos. There are 12 of these already in service, and the average age is 1.8 years. So, cutting to the chase pretty quickly, this is the youngest fleet type when measured by that average age, and it highlights the direction the airline would ideally like to head in the future. Working our way upward towards some of the larger planes in the company fleet, well, we have the A330 series. This is a family of aircraft that the airline relies massively on, with a total of 42 units spread across 36 active and 6 parked. The importance of this aircraft type is evident through its reliable nature, but also just where it features. It is in multiple parts of the world, but these planes are getting on in terms of age. Actually, if we take a look at that average age, it sits at 15.3 years, and Cathay is more than anything beginning to now explore a new mid-size aircraft to be able to take the reins over in the future. In terms of which direction it heads for this, that remains to be seen. The requests for proposals per sources are still in the early stages. The move towards a new mid-size widebody would actually see it work alongside another next-generation aircraft family, and that is the A350, which features quite extensively and has quietly worked its way to becoming a core aircraft type in the day-to-day fleet. The airline already has 30 A350-900s to its name. These A350-900s also average only some 5.9 years, which make them pretty new. The airline is another customer that flies not just the Dash 900, but the high-capacity Dash 1000. Currently, 18 of these units are delivered with an average age of 4.2 years. The additional capacity is really a valuable addition to the airline. Working our way up now, the airline's final aircraft series in terms of its passenger operations comes from the 777 family, with 11 active and 6 parked 777-300s, averaging a whopping age of, drumroll please, 22.4 years. Now, these aircraft therefore are the oldest in their passenger fleet when measured by that average age, but one of the more critical aircraft types is a little bit younger. That's the 777-300ER, where 36 units are in active service. The 777, alongside the A350, really form the backbone of their long-haul wide-body operation, and will likely stay this way for some time still. Cathay is one of the few groups worldwide, if you will, that also has a cargo division that was recently streamlined streamlined from Cathay Pacific Cargo to just Cathay Cargo, and it is known for operating with a fleet of exclusively Boeing 747 freighters, which many would consider an avgeek paradise. Now, the freighter operation makeup does not just include one 747F variant. We have the older -400F, but actually the newer -8F, which brings the total to 18 active units, with 2 being parked. The 747-8s only average 11 years of age, and they're the newest freighter that it has taken delivery of. As for the future of Cathay Pacific, well, many people would say that's up for debate. And when concerning the fleet, the company will need to continue focusing on ensuring that it moves towards the next generation of aircraft type. Not only are they fantastic for all those that will jump aboard these planes, but also many people would argue that there are fantastic economical benefits that come with it. And the numbers would be pretty hard to argue when you look at the efficiency over previous generation planes. The upcoming new wide-body order that I speak of, again, we don't know the direction of this, at least at the time of recording and when this video is going live, will be essential in really helping them move towards this new era. For its freight division, we can expect the A350F to eventually join the freight too, ensuring some commonality between passenger and freight operations, while giving the company the reliability that it does require and an adequate replacement for the aging quad-engine planes. While these 747 freighters that I speak of are fantastic aircraft, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore them myself, at the end of the day, as we move into this next era of freighter aircraft, whether it is the A350F or even the 777-8F that will eventually enter service too, they're just so much more of a compelling choice for these airlines. For your higher capacity and long-haul needs in a passenger sense, adding the Boeing 777X once also certified will be another important stepping stone for the airline in increasing its stronghold on certain markets, and many would say just continuing its global recovery. However, if we move externally away from fleet, well, the fate of Cathay Pacific is one many people will debate. They've certainly had a very hard, say, 4 or so years, but some people may stretch that focus even towards the past decade that has been very turbulent, and you'd argue more turbulent than they would have ideally wanted. So, the fate of Cathay Pacific remains a little bit unsure, but one thing you may be able to argue that will propel them into the future in a solid manner will be the continued acquisition of new aircraft types, building upon the A350's success, which now extensively features, even down to the A321neo. These planes are the youngest within their fleet, but they only have 12. They'll be looking over time to grow these new planes and hopefully streamline where possible too. That's going to conclude today's fleet analysis on Cathay Pacific. If you have any thoughts, you're more than welcome to drop them down below in the comments too. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. It truly does mean a lot. Please do take care and do also be safe. I will indeed see you next time for more coverage and analysis on the aviation world.